Good morning to the leaders of the church, His Excellency Ricardo Cardinal Vidal, Bishop Utsimar, President of the CBCP, Bishop Ejercito, Bishop Palma, Bishop Arguelles, my colleagues in Congress, Senator Enrile, Deputy Speaker Garcia, and of course our host, Congressman J.B. Ejercito. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. First of all, I'd like to thank Dr. Villegas for allowing me to speak ahead. I have to go to the CA dahil si Brother Luistro is going to be heard in the Commission on Appointments. House Bill number 13, providing for the safety and protection of the unborn child, definition of conception, the union of the sperm and the ovum. And upon fertilization, it is already established that the genetic makeup is complete, including the sex of the infant. Importante po ito sapagkat doon sa ating konstitusyon nakalagay, we must protect the unborn from the moment of conception. And according to former Chief Justice Artemio Panganiban, conception is upon fertilization. According to Father Bernas, it is upon fertilization. And according very recently to the Philippine Medical Association, it is also upon fertilization. That is very important because that will establish the premises on what are considered to be abortifacients, because the RH people would like implantation to be the moment of conception, which is of course not concurred in by the experts that I mentioned. I also filed House Resolution. Incidentally, if we speak of members, Filipinos, who come from big families, who come from the poorer sectors of society, most of the 8.7 million overseas Filipinos worldwide come from that sector. And they are the ones who are the biggest contributor to our GNP and GDP right now, contributing $21 billion a year. They are all over the world, and most of them would not have been born kung merong RH noong panahon nila. Pinag-uusapan yung maternal death rate and infant death rate. There was a study conducted by the Social Watch. They established the SRI, ito yung Safe Reproduction Index, where it is determined depending on the number of doctors, nurses, and midwives in relation to total live births. And as you can see from the chart here, there is a direct correlation between Safe Reproduction Index, inverse correlation, and maternal death rate, and also infant death rate. In other words, it is not the pregnancies that cause maternal death rate and infant death rate, but the lack of doctors, nurses, and midwives. And therefore, the correct approach is to invest more in doctors, nurses, and midwives, and not in contraceptives as well as condoms. I have some figures here on what provinces have a very low safe reproduction index. And I think that problem should be the one that should be addressed. I also filed House Resolution number 491, calling for an investigation and inquiry on reports that certain contraceptives are carcinogenic and hazardous to women's health. This is very, very important. This is not Roilo Golez speaking, but this is the finding of the World Health Organization, International Agency for Research on Cancer, that shows that there is a high incidence of cancer of the breast, cancer of the liver, as well as cervical cancer with the use of oral contraceptives. This is backed up by the U.S. National Cancer Institute, backed up by the Cancer Research of UK, backed up by the Harvard Medical School, backed up by the Indian Journal of Medical Ethics, and also by a very respected doctor who happens to be the chairperson of the Committee on Ethics of the Makati Medical Society, all of which findings indicate that indeed oral contraceptives are carcinogenic with respect to cancer of the breast, cervical cancer, and cancer of the liver. I think everybody should be aware of the National Security Study Memorandum 2000. Wala pang WikiLeaks nung panahon na yon, pero kung merong WikiLeaks nung panahon na yon, April 24, 1974, malalaman ng buong mundo na meron palang isang National Security Study Memorandum signed by Dr. Henry Kissinger. We will give you a copy of this. There will be handouts later. But basically, what the NSSM 2200 is saying is that the United States, as well as Western countries, are facing a big security risk. They are facing a lot of competition on depletable resources like fossil fuel and other minerals. I would like to read some portions here. The political consequences of current population factors in the LDCs, ang tawag nung una sa mga bansang katulad ng Pilipinas, less developed countries. Damaging to the internal stability and international relations of countries in whose advancement the U.S. is interested. In other words, yung internal stability nila, internal relations nila are being blamed on certain countries. There is a major risk of severe damage to world economic, political, and ecological systems, and as the systems begin to fail, to our humanitarian values. In other words, American humanitarian values. Concentration on key countries. In this memorandum of Dr. Kissinger, he recommended that primary emphasis on the largest and fastest growing developing countries where there is special U.S. political and strategic interest. Those countries are India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Nigeria, Mexico, Indonesia, Brazil, the Philippines, Thailand, Egypt, Turkey, Ethiopia, and Colombia. Nakalagay din dito, page 158 of the memorandum, only nominal attention is currently being given to population education or sex education in schools. In other words, they are recommending more attention. That U.S. agencies stress the importance of education of the next generation of parents starting in elementary schools toward a two-child family ideal. The AID, yung US AID, stimulates specific efforts to develop means of educating children of elementary school age to the ideal of the two-child policy. This was a recommendation of Henry Kissinger. And certain facts about abortion need to be appreciated, according to him. Page 182, no country has reduced its population growth without resorting to population. Page 183, indeed, to abortion. Indeed, abortion, legal and illegal, now has become the most widespread fertility control method in use in the world today. That is on page 183. And of course, several decades after, another Secretary of State mentioned, and this is Secretary Hillary Clinton, who is often quoted by the authors of the RH bill,